Hey, the Almighty, we all humbly pray before you and we seek your blessings, your grace, your mercy, your forgiveness, your strength, and the steadfastness to go on this path and reach thy abode. Our salutations and gratitude to the entire Guru Parampara. Om Tat Sat. Today we are on the Divine Discourse number 54, Saturday the 6th of June 2020, Sharvari Nam Samvatsar, Uttarayan, Grishma Rutu, Jyesht Mas, Krishna Paksh, and Pratipadya. That is the first day of the journey now towards the new moon. So since the last few days, our prime focus has been on the macro aspects of one's Vedantic study. Normally these aspects are taught after quite a good amount of time. Like as per the Vedic structures, I would say, like if a young student has joined at the age of 6 or 8 years, maybe all these aspects would be, what we are discussing now, would be taught after 8 or 10 years. And for adults like us, where you put in at least 6 hours of study every day, it would be taken up after at least, I would say, 2,500 hours. So that is the kind of a timeline given. But as I told you all, that I feel you all are all intellectually strong and quite dedicated, because coming online daily and listening is no joke. Unless and until you have given and made this as your priority in life, one cannot show so much of dedication. So I appreciate the dedication of all of you, and hats off for that. And may Lord give you the same steadfastness to continue. That's what we just now prayed. So here, what are we understanding? We are understanding that firstly, our goal is salvation, liberation. As they say, aim for the moon, and if you fail, you'll fall among the stars. Once you are on this path, at best what can happen? Maybe if you have not achieved in this lifetime, there would be probably another 1 or 2 lifetimes, that's it. But those 2 lifetimes, 1 or 2 which one would get, would be completely, I would say, would be of a high quality life, because you are now on that final verge of culmination. So that's what the scriptures have always told about. And this is the long-term goal. What is the short-term goal? The short-term goal would be that while we are practicing this, doing our sadhana, only listening will not uh, do us good enough. So while you're doing the sadhana, what happens is the refinement starts from that very moment. You are already on the under the cosmic vision. So there you will see peace, happiness slowly coming into your life. Having said this, I should also tell you all that do not expect the situations to dramatically change in the outer world, because that is as per your karmic account. This is a very important point everyone should grasp. They will continue to be there, or they will get better. Fine, that goes as per your karmic account. But what will happen is the impact, the negative impact, the distress, sorrow, what it used to give you earlier, that slowly will start reducing. And after a point of time, even if it is there, you'll say it doesn't matter. Why? Because it is like you are on an anesthesia, and let the surgeon do whatever he wants on the body. That pain is not going to touch you. You are on that kind of a situation, and this will give you that benefit on an immediate basis. So be it this lifetime, be it another or two, it doesn't matter. As far as the current life, we have clarity, we have a proper understanding, and we know where we are moving. That's enough. A life which has got a goal, that will make all the difference. Otherwise, you're just going by the hankering of the mind, by the sensuous pleasures drawing you here and there, and all the time it keeps you disturbed. It affects your health, your mental health, and your relationships, your sleep. Then what is the kind of life we are leading? So now what we have understood is about the three kinds of bodies which one have: the Stula, Sukshma and Karana. We have understood all this. So now, once we know this, the next level would be the 5 koshas, the pancha koshas, which is a fine division of all these three bodies. The 5 koshas fit into these three bodies, those segments. I would prefer to take it up after we complete the 3 states of our life, which is the waking, dream and deep sleep. We have our 3 states on a daily basis we experience. Everybody experiences, isn't it? All these 3. So what are we trying to understand by all these? There by the 3 bodies, we understood that all these 3 bodies are nothing but anatma. They are inert in nature, and each body has got its own function. It's driven by mind and intellect, which has its partners as the memory and ahankar, and continuously you are into action with a strong presence of I. So now what is our purpose over there? We have to catch hold of the I and throw it out, because it has got no relevance in any manner. As we move forward, we'll get to understand much more detail about it. And at the same time, now you see, in the waking, dream and deep sleep state, observe this I again. This I is that egotic I am talking about. Where is this I, and how strong is it in different states of your daily life? And what is that which has been there all along in these three states? Try to analyze and find the fine difference, the importance of the consciousness or the God present in you, and this I which is temporary and which has further, which is going to taking you into bondage, how that is making an impact in your life. Okay, so now here we start with the three states. So the first one is the Jagrat Avastha. The Jagrat Avastha means the waking state. Most of us are in the waking state for most of the time in a day, isn't it? So what happens in this state? Here the ego is at the maximum level of activity and performance in this state. How? There is the presence of the body in a waking state. That is the Sthula Sharir. There is the presence of the subtle body, which means the mind, the intellect, the arm factor, the memory. Time to time the memory gives you data of all what has happened in the past. And then you have the 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas, and the 5 panchakoshas. Active, completely active. And you also have the Karan Sharir, which is the causal body, because that is which is erupting the desires into your intellect, Buddhi Shakti, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And from there, down the line to the mind, and from the mind, it asks the senses to give a report. The senses say, yes, this is all available here, 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 and on these lines. And then the organs of action get into work, and they go and they fetch it, and you enjoy it. And after you enjoy it, becomes a karma, very subtly a karma, depending on if you have done a good act, it becomes a punya. If it is a bad act, it becomes a papa. That is a separate account which is opened, which takes you to bondage. And also immediately a soft impression known as samskar is created, and a hard impression of vasana is created, and that is embedded in the causal body, the Karan Sharir. So the whole thing goes like this. So all the 3 bodies are active, and so the senses are perceiving. You must have seen, like, when you, for example, you go into you get a thought from the Karan Sharir, you're an avid movie goer, so it will immediately burst from your Karan Sharir into your mind, into your intellect. The intellect tells the mind, get into action. Then the senses find out, the eyes, ears, they'll find out the trailer, where it is running, what timings, all those details, with whom to go, how to go, when to go. All these are decided, and then you go there, you're enjoying the movie, your eyes and ears are active. Then during the interval, the other senses say, 3 senses say, what is this? Only the eyes and ears are getting satisfied. What about us? Get some popcorn, get some coffee. So then coffee and popcorn comes in. So which means then the sense of touch, the sense of taste, then the sense of smell, they all get reactivated. And how samskar is created down to vasana, and this is how it acts. So every point there is action in this particular field. And just for your understanding, technically the ego in a waking state is known as Vishwa in Sanskrit, which means it expresses in each and every aspect of your body and mind. The waking state, Vishwa, that is the entire understanding of a waking state. Now let's come to what happens in a dream state. Now see, here what are we monitoring? We are monitoring the ego, because we feel that everything is I, isn't it, in my life? Apart from I, what am I interested in? Nothing. I'm only interested in me, myself, my belongings, my parents, my family, my friends, my world. So now gradually see, we have understood what is the status of the I as for the three bodies. Now we are understanding I in these three states. Swapna avastha. Now here in this swapna avastha, as the day gets over and you've had your dinner, supper, and finally you wish to retire for the day, then you hit the pillow. Then as you fall off to sleep, you slowly slip into a dream world. That is the swapna avastha. You are now in your dream world, and now here what happens? Here your body is disconnected. First thing. What is active? Your mind. Only your mind is active here. Body has got nothing to do. That 60, 70, 80, 90 kilo body, whatever it is, or a 50 kilo body, sorry, some are 50 also. Yeah, that body will be lying nicely flat in a comfy bed. And this mind will create, I tell you, no director can beat that. It will come out with a world of its own. Characters, the location, the kind of surroundings, time factor, everything is construed by your own mind. On what lines? Now here, the dreams are nothing but whatever the suppressed thoughts and the unfulfilled wishes of one's waking state. These are predominantly projected in the dream state. And more also, those vasanas which are present in the current sharir, they are undigested. They want to express, but somehow they did not get. Say you have come out with a vasana expression, but you have suppressed it. You did not experience it. So they try to take a chance over here in the dream world. They will also come. The compelling power of these latent talent, what we can call, they all come here and they take you into a swirling round. Remember, a strong thought or a desire, even that too becomes a vasana. Not necessarily only the actions become vasana. So one has to be very careful of your thoughts as well. They're just going to manifest because the thoughts eventually become actions, isn't it? But in a dream world, what happens is these strong thoughts erupted from the vasanas, they again become strong impressions. So what happens in a dream world? There is no body, there are no sense organs. What sense organs? The 5 sense organs, the 5 organs of action, the pranas are functioning, and the mind, intellect is functioning. Because there is no body and there are no senses, whatever good or bad you do in the dream, as far as the karmic account, there is no bondage over here. So now draw a fine line of differentiation. In the waking state, the karmic account was active. You saw that, isn't it? Where now coming to the dream state, your karmic account is not active. It is completely closed. In the waking state, your body, Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir, all three active, whereas here only your mind and Karan Sharir are active. Your mind is like it's flaunting its impressive power to create. It says, I can do all this. What do you think? It's just showing off with so many illogical and ridiculous things. It comes out. And you as a perceiver from the body level, feeler from the mind level, and a thinker from the intellect level, you are constantly creating your world. So here the ego, since it's in that act of creation, it is known as Taijasa. So in the waking world it was called Visva because it was associated with every aspect of the body, all present all around. Here, because of the illumination and the power of creation, here it is called, it is at the capacity of Taijasa. This is the dream world. Yeah. Now, any questions so far on this? Shall I continue on the Sushupti, that is the deep sleep? Okay, perfect. Now, in the Sushupti Avastha, what happens? From the dream, the dreams vanish and you slip into a deep sleep state. Now, here what the ego is doing. The ego has no presence over here. See, that ego which you were talking about, me, on a daily basis, it is left you and gone. Can you understand this? Probably you might not have realized. You are not yourself for that portion of the time in the dream, in the deep sleep state. Reason? There is no mind. You have only the Karan Sharir over there, the causal body. Your body is not there, your Sthula Sharir. Your Sukshma Sharir completely is not there, excepting the pranas which are functioning to keep your body alive. So when the mind is not there, what happens? There is a state of no thoughts. And that state of no thoughts gives you a feeling of bliss. Ignorance is bliss. So you are ignorant of every damn thing in this world and in your life. You know nothing. And here, because you know nothing, and this particular Karan Sharir is immediately associated with the consciousness. Since there is no mind, the shadow effect of the consciousness is hitting this deep sleep state. And that will be better understood when we get into the Pancha Koshas, because after the Annamaya Kosha, the first sheath which covers the Shuddha Chaitanya is the Annamaya Kosha. So its proximity to the consciousness is closer, and consciousness being the state of Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda, so that shadow effect, that vapor effect, the cool effect of that consciousness is transferred to this causal body. And here, for that kind of a period till you are in that deep sleep state, absence of ego, absence of thoughts, absence of all grudges, all jealousy, all emotions, anger, worry, anxiety, nothing is there in this particular deep sleep state. Aham kimapi na janami sukhena maya nidranubhuyata iti sushupta avastha. Karana sharira abhimani atma prajna ityuchyate. This is the definition of a sushupti avastha written by Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his composition Tattvabodha. So he says, Aham kimapi na janami means I don't know anything. Sukhena maya nidranubhuyata. I am enjoying good sleep. Karana sharira abhimani atma prajna ityuchyate. Meaning here the ego is associated with the causal body and it is called as prajna. In Vishwa is in the Jagrata Avastha, that is the waking state. Taijasa is in the dream state, Swapnavastha, and in the Sushupti Avastha it is known as Prajna. These are technical terms just for your understanding. Now, here what all happened? Ego is not there, senses are not there, body is not there, mind is not there, intellect is not there. Only the Karan Sharir and the Pranas are functioning. That's all. And they say the amount of happiness one derives in a Sushupti, be it a beggar who is sleeping under the flyover on the roads, or be it a king. Now there are no kings. Yeah. So you can say be it anybody who is sleeping in a 7-star suite. I'm talking in terms of luxury. Once they get into a deep sleep state, they both have the same amount of happiness. See the power of creation. Amazing, isn't it? How it is regulating all these things. It's something marvelous. Now, let's compare the three avasthas and how this ego is identified. I'm giving you a quick recap of these three. And then we'll think of the derivations of what we should understand from the meaning of all these three states. In Jagrata Avastha, waking, your identification is from the Stula Sharira, mostly. And your ego is associated, known as Vishwa. It is experiences the external world and the internal world. Am I right? Now, when we are in the waking state, we are experiencing both the external world and the internal world. And our maximum presence of the ego is at the body level. Body, senses, everywhere we are covered with that I factor. What do you think I am? You know who am I? Who I am? I think they say, especially youngsters say, especially if they are of rich parents, that way. That ego is there. If anybody just behaves with them a little rude or indifferent, they start showing off. So at the body level it is so strong. Then coming to the dream state, ego is more associated with this Sukshma Sharir because the body is not there in dream. And its experience is only internal world. In waking world, external and internal. Now see, in the dream it is only internal. And in Sushupti Avastha, the association of ego is only with the Karan Sharir, causal body, and the experience is absence of both the worlds. As in a waking, it is present in both internal and external. In a deep sleep state, it is absent in both the worlds. Now, we talk about this aham, as I was saying, this ego factor. young mothers who have given birth to babies, in their early nursing time, what amount of effort goes in taking care of a child? Every moment, every part of the day, as a mother, constantly you're associated with the child. My child, my child. I should take you. You're not trying to miss even a moment without the child. And when it comes to sleep, even there, you may not really get a good sleep. Hardly mothers get a sleep with a young baby next to her. But at some point, when you get into deep sleep state, you have forgotten the world, you have forgotten the baby, you have forgotten yourself, and you are in that state of bliss, of where there is no mind. See here, I would like to draw a very important point. This I, what we are talking about, it is not that we can give up this I. We can give up, and we are giving it up on a daily basis. First point to be noted here. How can I give up I? How can I give up my... And secondly, you are in a state of ajnana, ignorance, and you have experienced that kind of a bliss. Imagine that same situation you create for yourself, where you have dropped your mind in deep meditation, filled in the thoughts of the Supreme with powerful mantras which you have understood and learnt. You have no experience of the external world and the internal world. What kind of a bliss one could get in that samadhi state? This is something which one needs to ponder. You are daily going to a state where you have dropped your mind and ego, and you are experiencing bliss. Now, in that same state, replace it with knowledge, supreme knowledge, and be in association with the supreme consciousness. Here you are in the Karan Sharir, which is the Annamaya Kosha. After that, you come to the pure state of consciousness. So once we discuss Panchakoshas, we'll get to an understanding there. Now, this will be better explained, these three states, by a beautiful story of King Janaka. King Janaka, as you all know, was known as the Raja Rishis. His knowledge was supremely high. Although he was a king, but he had learnt the scriptures and practiced sadhana in such a stupendous manner that he was known for his wisdom. Even as I had mentioned earlier, like Vedavyas, he sends his son after the education to go and stay with King Janaka and understand how much he has learnt. So for certification from King Janaka. Now such a king, one day he's sleeping on his bed. The soldier comes there and wakes him up. Maharaj, Maharaj, please get up, please get up. The neighboring king has attacked us. We are in danger, please get up. Now the king gets up in a shock. He says, my God, what has happened? He says, Maharaj, this is what has happened and they have come very close, so we need to rush. He says, don't worry at all. Please see that you give an alarm to all the chief soldiers, the commander-in-chief, the minister, everybody should assemble in the next 15 minutes. And he says, I'll now wear my war gear and I'll come. And he starts getting ready. Everybody has assembled within 15 minutes at the main gate, and they all set for war. Now they go to the battlefield. The neighboring king was very strong. Both the armies fighting. Fight went on for that day, the next day, and after 3 days, what they see is the result is King Janaka is slowly, his army is deteriorating in numbers. The soldiers are getting killed. The chiefs of various battalions are getting killed. And the commander-in-chief is also killed, and eventually the ministers. Now, it was a stage where he had lost the war and he had to surrender. At this point of time, now the king who has won, he says, okay, I will not take you into custody. I will leave you. Go away from this kingdom and be wherever you want to. I am leaving you in exile. Now King Janaka, he's tired, emotionally beaten up badly. His blood is draining from various parts of his body, scars all around. In this mental and physical pain, he comes out of the war field and he's walking out of the capital now. He's thirsty, hungry, dragging his feet. Even his own citizens, they do not offer him water or food because the soldiers were escorting the king till the boundaries of the kingdom. So looking at the soldiers, everybody was scared and they were locking their homes. This was more painful for King Janaka. Now he goes. He drags himself and after a few hours, he crosses the city. The kingdom, basically. He's so hungry, so thirsty. He's looking for food and water. Luckily, he sees there is a long queue of people who are all holding bowls in their hand, and at one end, he sees that they are serving food. My God, he says, you are so kind. And he goes and joins the queue. Now it's taking time, one after the other. Slowly, he's the last person there. Slowly, the line is moving, and eventually he gets his turn. And there, his bad luck. By the time it came to he being served, food was completely empty. Now the server on the other side says, he looks at him, he understands his state, so badly beaten and bruised. He says, hey man, if you don't mind, I will scrape the bottom and whatever is there I'll give you. That little bit of liquid and that kind of stuff which is stuck to the bottom. I can do that. Do you want it? He says, please, please, please give me. Then he says, where is your bowl? He says, I don't have a bowl. And there they look around, they see one broken pot there. So he goes and the King Janaka takes that pot in his hand, which has fallen on the ground in the dust. And he comes and places there for food. And that person, some kind of khichdi. So he scrapes that bottom and pours whatever little food is left. And King Janaka, with so much of desire, he is bringing it to his mouth. And at that time, a kite which was flying, it comes and hits the pot down. All that food is to the ground in mud. And it was the most painful situation for King Janaka to tolerate. Alas, he is weeping, he is crying, and he shouts and he gets up. All this was a dream. From the time they woke him up until here, he was seeing a dream. He gets up and shouting and alas, alas. Then the sentry over there, he comes, Maharaj, what happened? What happened? So King Janaka is saying, Ye such, ya wo such. Is this true or that true? The sentry is looking at King Janaka. What is that? Is this true or that true? Which true? Which that and which this? He's confused. He says, let me go and talk to the Maharani, the queen. He immediately goes, sends a word to Maharani. Then Maharani comes there. And she sees Janaka is sitting on the bed, perspiring. And she says, Maharaj, what happened? Ye such, ya wo such. 2-3 times she asks. He's saying the same thing. She doesn't understand. There's something wrong with him now. Come, go and call the Vaidya. And they go and call the Vaidya. Immediately he comes. As the Vaidya comes, he is checking. Maharaj, what's the matter? Can you tell me? He's asking the same thing. Ye such, ya wo such. Is this true or that true? The Vaidya says to the Maharani that, see, his body-wise, his health is all right. He checks the pulse and breath and everything. He says, body-wise, he's all right. But something has gone wrong with his mind. We need to do more checks. Now, this news gets into the palace so quickly that the king is out of his wits. He's gone mad. Ye such, ya wo such. Anybody who is coming, Maharaj, would you like to drink some water? Ye such, ya wo such. He's not saying anything else. Now in a few hours, dawn hits, the sun rises, and the life gets active again. And there they see that this news has gone to the entire city already. It was not an age of WhatsApp and Insta, Facebook and all, but still, in that dead of the night, whatever has happened in the palace is now on the streets. The king has gone mad, and he's only saying 2 things, ye such, ya wo such. And people are talking on the streets. There, Ashtavakra Muni, supposed to be one of the most learned saints of those ages, he is coming towards Janaka Maharaj Darbar, courtroom. What people are murmuring, it falls on his ears. That so and so thing, king has gone mad, he's talking on these lines. He understands. He's a Jnani. So he enters the courtroom. Now king is sitting on the throne. He's come for his duties, but he's saying the same thing. Ye such, ya wo such. Anybody talking to him, he'll ask only this. So the king is on the throne, posh palace, a huge courtroom with so many servants around, ministers, the public, the soldiers, his queens, luxury, all that around. He's sitting there and talking only these 2 sentences. Now Ashtavakra Muni comes and he asks the Maharaj, hey Maharaj, what happened? Same thing. Ashtavakra Muni understood. He asked the Maharaj, when you were in the battlefield, was all this what you're seeing here Was it there at that time? He says no. And what you experienced in the battlefield, is it there now when you're sitting here? It's not there. So which means when you are here, your experience of that state is true, but that situation is not there. And when you are in the battlefield, the experience of the battlefield is true, but the kingdom and this state of affairs is not there. So you have experienced both the states of different worlds, but you are neither that nor this. Na ye sach, na wo sach, tum hi sach ho. This is what Ashtavakra Muni tells him. Tum hi sach ho means, he says, that witness, that consciousness which was present in the waking state, which is now, the same consciousness was present during the dream state. Both those states are different for you as a person, as a experience of the ego. Both these are different, but it is that consciousness which was there at both points of time, and that's how it knows both these states. So you are neither the waker nor the dreamer. You are that consciousness which was a pure witness to both these states. So what we have to understand here is, this ego comes during our waking state, and then thereafter it goes away. It is not our true nature. Bear this in mind. Then what is our true nature? We will get to that tomorrow when we see the Panchakoshas and subsequently other aspects.